Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo. Tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Senator, Pagoda, and Bam Bam. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some whiskey, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 118th official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a New World cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We enter the world of Metallica tonight. We discuss Padron's new farm in Estelí. We reveal yet another Year of the Dragon release, and Pagoda details his recent trip to Costa Rica, all among a variety of other things for the next 90 minutes. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair Blackened 72 Seasons Straight American Whiskey with the Drew Estate Blackened M81 in Corona. A Corona tonight from Drew Estate on the pod. It's called the Blackened M81. It's a 43 ring gauge cigar by 5 inches long. And Bam Bam, I know you're excited. I'm excited. We have entered the realm of Metallica.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, Bam promised that he was going to do karaoke tonight.
I'll do karaoke. I got to get my lyrics.
So this cigar, I would argue, is pretty rustic.
Very toothy.
Very toothy, dark, and it comes with a very simple band on it that just says black, and there's a foot band as well.
Yeah.
With M81 on it, which I pulled off. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm
Mexican San Andres wrapper.
yeah, and everything in it is Maduro.
Looks like a powerful cigar.
Yeah.
It's going to pack a punch.
Here we go.
Yeah. Who doesn't love Metallica?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Reminds me of Mariano Rivera coming out for the New
That's
York
right.
Yankees. Here we go, Bam.
That's
go.
true. I say your prayers, little one. Don't forget my son to include everyone.
Oh, it's perfect. Keep going.
Tuck you in, warm within, keep you free from sin till the Sandman he comes. Sleep with one eye open, gripping your pillow tight. Exit light. All right, that's enough.
All right, okay.
Giz, can you say it? Not even close.
No,
Oh.
come on. We have
Amateur
the rock
bullshit.
star.
Complete amateur bullshit. Hey, I'm into like 3 cigars tonight.
I liked it.
Thank
I
you.
thought it was good.
Thanks, bro.
All right, boys, let's cut this thing. See, we're getting on the cold draw on the wrapper. Obviously, this is the cigar designed by Drew Estate and Rob Dietrich, who helped with the blackened whiskey for Metallica, and James Hetfield, kind of a 3-headed affair, designing the blackened cigar for Drew Estate, all with Maduro tobacco, which is interesting. Every aspect of this cigar is Maduro. So that is James Hetfield's flavor profile. That's what his palate likes. So I'm anticipating that this is going to be a full body punch in the face tonight.
And the draw is wide open.
Are we going to have dinner before we light this? Or?
Oh, we're going to need a meal.
I have steaks coming. Yeah, Bam, mine is wide open as
Yeah.
well, which is surprising because when I was looking at the foot, I was actually a little concerned because I was anticipating that this draw was going to be a little tight, but it's really well rolled. It's wide open.
It could smoke a little fast.
I'm looking forward to this. I think, because I love this kind of flavor
Well,
profile.
that's right in your wheelhouse.
All right, boys, let's light this thing. The Blackened M81 Corona. Again, it's a 43 ring gauge cigar by 5 inches long from Drew Estate in partnership with James Hetfield of Metallica and Rob Dietrich, who is in charge of their blackened whiskey product. The three of them came together and designed this all Maduro line of cigars for Drew Estate. I think it launched sometime in 2023, I believe, or 2022. It's fairly recent. Metallica is a very commercialized heavy metal band, as we know, so everything lines up. They put out an album last year. They went on tour, and the cigar came out around that time.
This is surprisingly smooth on the light.
I'm not getting a lot of notable flavor
No,
No.
that I can
No.
call out to you right now.
but it's not harsh.
No.
That's really interesting because I thought it really,
Me too.
come as strong with really strong flavors, but no.
Just you wait.
Oh.
So, Rooster, you've had this cigar before. You actually had this well before we recorded these on the pod. What attracted you to the cigar, and what's kept you reaching for them?
I don't know. I just wanted to try it. It's interesting. The whole concept is neat, and we all like Drew Estate cigars.
Yeah.
All the Liga line. They're full flavored.
Mm.
I mean, to me, what I remember is like the first note that you get right on the light. You get like the leather, little spice, like deep espresso, and a little bit of like a sweetness, which is like a deep, dark, sweet note that kind of dissipates, and you'll notice that.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little espresso, but I'm getting quite a bit of spice.
Spice will be throughout.
Yeah.
You're gonna
for
get
some,
a lot of pepper on
it's
this.
not hitting me hard. It's not spice forward for me.
No, it's very smooth. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think thankfully it's not aggressive with the spice. It's like just the right amount. I definitely get the espresso. There's something very faintly sweet.
There is like I was kind of like on the one side I've had like a deep dark cherry kind of thing.
I get that
Oh.
on the retrohale and the finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
like
could see that.
leather and
Mhm.
espresso, dark coffee.
Yeah. And the smoke output is,
Just like any other Liga.
yeah.
It's
true.
excellent.
I'm finding though that the smoke output is not as crazy as the Ligas that we've had, especially the Liga 9. Remember that cigar? I mean,
Yeah.
every
Well,
draw
the
was
size,
like a,
the
That's
size
the
of
size.
this.
That-
yep.
I mean, look
Correct.
at the
That's
size.
true.
Yeah.
You know,
But for
This
what it
a-
is,
this is a Corona.
I think it's
smoke output's
substantial.
Right.
Quite substantial. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
mean,
getting
this-
a little more now.
this is a Mexican San Andres wrapper,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the binder and filler is broadleaf Pennsylvania and Nicaraguan.
Yeah, so the
believe.
binder is from Connecticut River Valley broadleaf, also Maduro, and the filler blend is Nicaraguan and Pennsylvania broadleaf Maduro tobaccos, including what they say is the boldest Pennsylvania broadleaf Ligero in Drew Estate's vast tobacco inventory. So they reached for the boldest Ligero that they had to blend in this cigar, which I'm assuming is just in line with what
Mm.
James Hetfield wanted.
Do we know where these are rolled?
I believe these are rolled in Estelí in
Okay.
Drew Estate's factory.
Okay.
I would hope not Pennsylvania.
There's some talented rollers in PA.
That's true.
Mm.
And what's the cost of this?
$9.15.
That's a
Yeah,
value
right
cigar.
under $10.
Yeah, it's a value cigar.
So the line, like I said, was launched in the last year or two. Comes in really, really cool boxes. Actually, Rooster was handing them around when we were selecting our cigars, and the top 3/4 of the front of the box pops open one way, and then the bottom third, I guess, pops the opposite way.
Mhm.
You could pick your cigar up, but it's a really nicely and uniquely designed box. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in a cigar
it's true.
before.
And everything is dark about this cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called the Blackened. The
For a
box
reason,
box is black.
Mhm.
The band is black. It's a deep dark Maduro wrapper. I mean, it's a Mexican San Andres wrapper, which are known to be, very dark. I mean, so far so good, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's off to a nice start. So when they launched these cigars, they debuted in 4 sizes: the Robusto, which is 5x50, the Toro 52x6, the Corona Doble, which is 50x7, and the Corona that we're smoking tonight, which is 43x5. And I'm glad actually the Rooster picked up the Coronas because this is actually the cigar that James Hetfield smokes. So what's cool is I actually went to see Metallica on their tour when they played East Rutherford, which was one of the earlier dates on their tour last year. I think it was in May of 23, or maybe it was September. I don't remember. But anyway, I was lucky to be kind of up closer to where the band comes on. And the way that they set up their show is it's in a stadium, it was in the football stadium where the Jets and Giants play. And everything is open air. So if you think about like when you go see a normal show, the stage is kind of backed up to one of the end zones, and then they kind of close off about a quarter of the seats. Metallica plays essentially in the round.
Mm.
So every seat has a full view, and they're able to open up the entire stadium to it. But what that means is there's nowhere for the band to hide. So when they come out before the show, they're literally sitting in front of your face before
Yeah.
they go on stage. And every night before he goes on stage, James Hetfield is smoking one of these exact cigars.
I've seen many clips of him getting ready to go on stage with a cigar in his hand. Wow, it's very cool.
He is definitely a full-on lizard,
Oh yeah,
James Hetfield. He has fallen in love with cigars. I think it was he recently, in the last few years, moved from L.A. or San Francisco, excuse me, where Metallica is based. He's now based in Colorado,
Mhm.
and I think he met a group of friends there because he's sober. He doesn't drink. So I think he met a group of friends there where he shares his cigars with them.
We need
And,
to interview him.
I would love to. I tried,
Absolutely.
but I was told that the Cigar Aficionado episode was interview was the only interview he was doing about the cigars. So
Well, we're the lizards. It's going to happen.
we'll make it happen at
Yes,
some
sir.
point.
I don't know why he's doing CA. All they do is interview people that don't smoke cigars half the time for their friggin' cover.
Correct.
That's true.
I mean,
That's
it's
true.
unreal.
Yeah, this is shockingly good right now,
I'm pleasantly surprised.
especially for being all Maduro. I don't have a lot of flavor notes to call out. I think still I'm getting espresso and a little bit of spice, but there's not much more there. But it's a pleasurable smoke.
Yeah, on the retrohale, you get a little sweetness on the finish. Other than that, you're right.
It's earthy.
Yeah, a bit
It's
earthy,
definitely
for
earthy.
sure.
Yeah.
I think the thing I'm just happy about is that this is not strength for strength's sake, which I was honestly worried about.
Us
right?
too.
Like,
Yeah.
talking about how bold this cigar is and all the Maduro to its core. I was just worried this was just going to like punch you in the face and not actually be that enjoyable. But the delivery is actually pretty smooth for.
So when I say like I've had this in the morning multiple times, it's not bad. I mean, it's not like overpowering.
Agree.
And a lot of the reviews that I have read, they talk about a lot of spice. You do get spice, but it's not the dominant note so far.
I
No.
agree.
It does build up a little bit, but in the morning with coffee and stuff, I think it.
Could
If
work.
you're looking for a bolder flavor, it's there.
It works for you in the morning.
Sure does.
I'm sure it'll work for me as well.
I'm sure it would.
I do like the size of the cigar.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
we've actually been kind of reaching for bigger cigars, longer cigars, Lanceros, which I guess are a similar ring gauge to this, a little bit longer recently on the podcast. But to reach for a little Corona like this, there's a lot of folks out there who maybe only have a half hour, 45 or an hour to smoke a cigar, in their given week. This is for someone that's looking for a full cigar
Yeah.
that's smooth. This might be the right one for them, especially under $10.
Double espresso, a Tesla, and an M81 is a perfect combination in the morning.
What?
You know what? That's a great recipe for the start of a day.
Hell yeah.
So like I said, this was blended by Jonathan Drew, James Hetfield of Metallica, and a man named Rob Dietrich. He is the master distiller and blender of the Blackened American Whiskey, which we have as our pairing tonight, boys.
Yes, we do.
And he's the former master distiller for Stranahan's Colorado Whiskey. He's been blending for 15 years or so, and he's responsible for every aspect of production for the Blackened Whiskey. And I guess because of his relationship with Metallica, so the Blackened Whiskey came out quite a few years ago,
earlier.
much earlier than this. I guess he had a relationship with Jonathan Drew, and he connected James Hetfield after he figured out he was a big cigar guy with Jonathan Drew at Drew Estate, and that's how they came up with this. But apparently it took them quite a while to develop the cigar that aligned with James Hetfield's palate, was smooth, but delivered what he said was, I guess, the three things that he was really looking for in a cigar, which were espresso, leather, and dark chocolate. And I'm getting all three.
Pretty
Yeah.
close.
I don't think maybe I'm not getting dark chocolate yet, but I'm definitely getting espresso and leather.
I agree.
It's a very deep, bitter chocolate,
Yeah.
not like a sweet chocolate, not a milk chocolate.
And you
very
mentioned
dark.
earthiness earlier. I think
Earthiness
that's
is
very
there,
accurate.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's nice. Very nice.
I think the earthiness, though, is in line with what I expect from Drew Estate. Like, I do taste similar notes to what you get in like a Liga or even the Undercrown series we've done. There is that kind of underpinning of flavor that I think is very much Drew Estate in this. Maybe it's the wrapper, maybe it's the blend or the tobacco or the way they ferment it, but it does taste like a Drew Estate cigar to me.
Yeah. Have you guys had the T52?
Yes. I've had it a few times.
Does
I've not.
this kind of remind you of that a little bit?
I feel it's milder than this and just as smooth.
T52 is
yeah.
milder?
Yeah, than this.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But quite a nice
I
cigar.
think Pagoda has had
Number 9. Like, I was
of
a big
course.
number 9 guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I do think that if you were to put them like side by side, you would think it's like a stepchild of the number 9 in a way.
Could be. You know, in that Liga 9, we get a lot of deep raisin. I'm not getting that here.
Yeah, there's definitely more fruit in the Liga series than I
bit.
think there is here.
Yeah. And the smoke, there's viscosity to it, which we're not getting here.
Yeah, this is a little bit thinner. I think the smoke output for me is definitely greater, but I am missing that kind of dried fruit note or that deep fruit note that you get in a lot of the Liga stuff that we enjoy.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
gotta say, this is really quite easy to smoke. I'm surprised. I was intimidated by the cigar, right?
Yeah, I don't think James Hatfield was really going for a fruit note. Maybe
No,
didn't-
that's not what he was
didn't
reaching
really
for.
ask for that. Yeah,
I will say I'm getting a lot more pepper now.
Really?
It's picked up spice.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The first third of the first third, I was not. But as you get further along, I'm starting to get
the sweetest
more
note
pepper.
you get.
So he's
is
talking
on
about the
light.
first ninth, by the way. I did
Yeah,
the
that's
math
about
on
a
that.
quarter of an inch for the listener.
I like to operate in thirds.
Correct.
The only sweet note that you get is right on the light. There's a slight it begins with like a sweet note to me.
Yeah, I keep going to the retrohale. If you do that, you'll get a sweetness on the finish of that. It's actually very nice.
Honestly, through the retrohale, I kind of like that kind of spice that I'm getting in the retrohale.
It's very mild.
It's a mild. It doesn't bite your nose.
At the end of it, I get a little bit of a type of fruit I can't put my finger on.
Yeah, the retro is really, really nice. Actually,
Cherry,
in the
someone
cigar.
called out
Deep-
cherry.
Deep,
Yeah,
that's
like
there.
a dark cherry note.
That's there.
So, boys, let's talk about our pairing. Speaking of Metallica, so we're doing a full Metallica episode tonight, and we also got a bottle of the Blackened limited edition 72 Seasons version of their straight whiskeys finished in brandy casks.
Hmm.
So it's a pretty cool bottle. Has the 72 Seasons Metallica logo all over it. It's a 45% alcohol, 90 proof. And boys, what do you guys think of the spirit tonight?
I think it's surprisingly pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that because I'm not a huge bourbon guy. Obviously, I appreciate some bourbons, but it's not something that I actively pursue a lot. I was worried, 90 proof and kind of the whole theme, it seems, for this brand, whether we're talking about their bourbon or their cigars, like full
Yeah.
flavor, intense. So I was just worried this was going to be like a really aggressive bourbon. And I tried it neat at first. I didn't find it to be aggressive at all.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, hearing you say that it's finished in a brandy cask, I think helps mellow out some of that aggression, which is good. And I've just put a couple, chips of ice in this, and I think it's opened up nicely. I actually like it.
Yeah, I've had it neat. I'm still drinking it neat. It gets better and better. It's really easy to drink, and I'm surprised by that.
It's easy to drink, but I do get a bit of the sharpness in the back, even although, and maybe I took a slightly bigger gulp. I think I should give it a small sips.
Tranquilo.
Tranquilo.
I got to say, there's a note in this whiskey that's interesting to me and is actually very complimentary to the cigar we're smoking, which is I feel like I'm getting like a cherry note on the finish of the whiskey that is very complimentary to the cigar.
Mhm.
Not that there's cherry in the cigar, but it's
No.
just it kind of aligns with it. But it's unique in its flavor that I don't think there's been a whiskey where I'm getting like a cherry type of note out of it.
I completely agree.
Yep.
And the reason I actually really like it, so the only thing for me with the cigar, I wish I was getting some more of a sweet note out of it. And I like drier things, but this is a little too dry, the flavor profile of the cigar for me to start. So the pairing actually works really well, where I'm getting some sweetness and some fruit notes from the bourbon that I wouldn't have expected. And that's, I think, helping balance the cigar more toward what I like from a flavor standpoint.
Agreed. Good combo tonight.
So what's interesting is, and we've talked about him before, this whiskey, the founding distiller of this whiskey with Metallica was that gentleman, Dave Pickerel, who we've talked about, who was known as the godfather of American whiskey and who passed away, unfortunately. I think he had like a sudden health issue.
Wasn't he involved in Whistle Pig?
He was involved in Little Rest.
Little Rest,
Maybe
okay.
Whistle Pig as well. I don't remember.
Yeah, neither
Could
do
be
I.
that too.
It could be
yeah.
Whistle
He's
Pig,
done a
but
lot.
They call him the godfather of American whiskey. And this guy, Rob Dietrich, has followed in his footsteps and is now the distiller and master blender. But, Dave Pickerel, I guess, was very famous with this whiskey for bringing in Metallica to do a whiskey pairing. And apparently what they do is they play, and hear me out.
Don't tell me.
Yeah. Apparently when the whiskey is sitting in the casks aging, they play Metallica music very loudly.
What?
To infuse
The essence of the song into the spirit?
For Whom the Bell Tolls and the other tunes.
Can't you taste it?
Into the whiskey.
For whom the bell tolls, time marches on. Another great song.
It's funny you mentioned them playing music very loudly that somehow is supposed to influence the spirit. I went to a whiskey tasting for this bourbon, 3 Chords, and apparently it's, I guess the person behind it is Neil Giraldo, another musician.
Yeah, he's the singer-songwriter Pat Benatar. I think that's her husband / guitar player, Neil Giraldo. I just think these people want to hear their music loudly in a distillery.
That's what's crazy, because during the tasting, they were talking about how they apply vibrations from playing music in the finishing of the whiskey, and that's a difference maker for them. And I thought it was so silly hearing it, but it's funny to hear that apparently they say the same crap with this stuff.
Oh, boy.
Who knows what impact? I doubt it has any.
I do feel musical today. Yeah.
Oh, it could have been Bam singing.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should sing the next song.
No, please.
I think this is actually a really, really good pairing. And I know that James Hetfield doesn't drink alcohol, but they kind of nailed it with this. I think Rob Dietrich, when in blending this cigar, pairing it with the whiskey, it's like I actually think they have something here. I think this is pretty solid.
It's actually quite nice. It drinks beautifully. It's delicious, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go as far as saying this is one of the better bourbons I've had in a while.
How much is it?
$40.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a great deal.
Wow.
Yeah, $40. You can find it anywhere. You can find it online, in stores, $40.
It's one of the more interesting bourbons, honestly.
I'm also just impressed because I have a total bias against any sort of celebrity-backed product, whether it's a spirit or even a cigar, right? Like these are usually marketing gimmicks, right? These are oftentimes not people who are serious about these things. I mean, look at tequila. Every celebrity and their mother has a tequila at this point. You're going to tell me that Kendall Jenner is serious about tequila? She doesn't know shit about tequila. So I was very skeptical of this, but this is actually really good. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Other than the fact that they play music to the spirit while it's in the barrel.
That's what helps.
It's enhancing my
You got to turn his mic off.
That's part of my aging process for my cigars. I play Chan Chan and everything just ages that much better.
Oh, that's legitimate.
That's what
I got to tell you, when I play Chan Chan, when I brush my teeth in the morning, for some reason, everything just goes so much smoother with my day once I start with Chan Chan.
Your teeth are brighter after that.
They are, exactly. Exactly. So, boys, let's talk about some other Nicaraguan news. It was announced the other day that the Padron family purchased a ton of new land in Estelí, Nicaragua, to grow even more tobacco. And I'm curious how this is going to shape their business in the coming years. But apparently, secretly, Jorge Padron in October purchased 90 manzanas, which is about 153 acres of farmland on a high elevation plot in Nicaragua, 1,200 meters above sea level.
Wow.
I mean, what's crazy about the size of that is I had read it's basically as big as all of their other farms combined.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
that's
huge plot of land.
Padron already makes a ton of cigars.
It's true.
The fact that encompasses every other property that they own in one.
Maybe we'll see a price decrease. Future volume.
I doubt that.
You're an optimist, Bam. You're an optimist.
I am. Well,
It's the spirit of the
in many
music.
ways.
So they named the new plot of land after Jorge Padron's mother. La Florinda is the name of the farm, and it's now in the midst of its maiden crop. Obviously, we're not going to taste any of that tobacco, at least I would think until 2029 or
5 years
2030.
plus,
But
yeah.
you know, very much in line with the ethos of the Padron family. It's a very long tail on their vision. They're willing to invest time and money to make great tobacco. So I'm curious what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. Clearly, they're seeing a need for supply. Maybe their demand is higher than what they're able to supply with what they have now. Maybe they're looking to sell to other manufacturers. Who knows? But clearly, this is a significant growth in the Padron business.
Maybe they're working on a family Grand Reserva line.
$300 a stick.
Just for Rooster. The thing that was interesting to me when this came out, someone interviewing Jorge had asked what they can expect from this plot of land in terms of like, is the profile of the tobacco going to be very similar to the other farms and what they grow? Will it be different? And I was just amazed. I mean, Jorge basically said, we have absolutely no idea, right? Like, it's just so crazy to think like you invest in this vast amount of land and you will just have no clue what that's going to yield until you actually plant some tobacco seeds there and let it grow and then experience it and see what it's like. It could be similar to their other plots that they have in Estelí. And then obviously that'll help spur production for their existing lines. It could be very different. They may come out with a new line based on whatever profiles. So for me, it was just very interesting. I think, we'll talk about this when we preview some more of our Cuba trip. But when you go out to any of these tobacco farms and, some have a better yield than others and some are more desirable. And I think what you quickly realize is the process is so simple that there's not necessarily some secret sauce to the process.
Mm-hmm.
It's you kind of get lucky with that plot of land and just how the soil and the climate at that one particular area performs. And you either hit a gold mine and it works great or you don't. And you've, maybe made a bad investment. So I was just amazed at like the level of risk that's really involved.
That's true.
When you're trying to source these other.
I have a general question. So how many other farms are at that elevation above sea level? Because that's quite high above sea level. And how does that affect tobacco?
That's a
and
great
growing?
question. I would imagine that the climate is quite a bit different at that
must be.
level.
It must be.
And certainly the way they've highlighted it here in the announcement of this purchase for Padron, it seems like, as they're saying, it's a high elevation plot.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like it's not going to be identical to what they're doing in other parts of Estelí at a much lower
I don't think
elevation.
it could be.
It has to be different.
Air pressures are much higher, so the yields could be smaller. Maybe they're planning a small batch approach. Who knows?
Who knows what they're doing?
I mean, I would think that the Estelí is kind of a valley.
In a valley, right.
Right. And Nicaragua in general, it has
Volcanic
soil.
Right.
So the soil in the valley would be more nutrient rich.
Mm-hmm.
So higher you go, there would be less nutrients. Would imagine.
It would make the tobacco fight for nutrients, which could yield a much more robust leaf. That's also a possibility.
That's true.
Yeah, interesting.
That's the other theory.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you in 7 years.
Stay tuned, listeners.
Stay tuned.
Tune in to episode 725, where we come back to this.
Well,
No, I just think it's very cool that obviously, like Senator said, the question of what's going to happen here,
Mhm.
it's a huge investment for them.
Mhm.
It's a massive piece of property. I'm sure they need a ton more people, a lot more resources to maintain this and to see this tobacco grow. But I'm really, really interested to see what's going to happen with Padron here, more than doubling their acreage.
I heard he outbid Rocky Patel to that land.
I mean, the funny thing, though, to your point about like the quality of the soil in really this whole region, I mean, he says in his interview how they've been looking for 5 years basically for another plot of land and how most of them in Estelí just were not very good. They just didn't think it would yield a good crop. So it's not easy to find these. Clearly, if it took him 5 years, and obviously he's, I'm sure got pick of the litter in terms of,
Mhm.
land that's available there.
What's interesting too, and it goes back to what we said about the Padron ethos, about the long game of their business and their family and their tobacco. Apparently, because of this purchase and planting this new crop, they decided to give one of the farms, which they call Villa Vieja, they totally gave it the year off. So they're not planting anything there for a year. Well, I guess let the
Replenish
soil,
nutrients,
let the soil replenish itself,
Mhm.
not grow anything, let it kind of grow over and give it a year off. So it's an interesting play, for Padron. It's a huge investment and
Yeah.
arguably maybe a little bit of a risk, for
so
their
so
yield.
it wasn't barren land. There was something was growing before.
It was a cattle ranch prior to
Oh boy.
them purchasing this. So we'll see.
So look for hints of manure.
Very barnyardish.
Very barnyard.
A lot of excavation going to take place there to get this ready.
At least it'll be compost rich.
Mm-hmm. Barnyard notes.
So, boys, we're about halfway through here on the Blackened M81. in Corona. What are you guys thinking? I think this is a really, really interesting
It's
cigar.
really a mild cigar.
Senator's got a 2-inch ash, so that's a good mark on construction and quality. No doubt about it.
And for a cigar this small, it is interesting how that's holding on like that.
Yeah, true.
Have you tried to knock it off or no?
Look at
Wow.
that. Oh, yeah.
Ah,
there's
Senator's
just came off.
trying to
but
knock it
there's
off.
structure to it, yeah.
Yeah.
It took a little effort.
It's well rolled.
Honestly, I'm not hating it. I'm surprised as how much I like it right now.
Why would you hate it?
I had preconceived notions of this thing.
It's a new world.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
That too.
Yeah, I think this is a really good cigar. I'm still getting the espresso notes, a little bit more dried fruit now.
Yeah.
It's very complementary with the whiskey we're sipping. And I think it's a very smooth delivery of what is definitely a full cigar.
True.
I mean, for under $10, it's not a bad cigar.
No, not at all.
What other Vitolas does this come in?
So it comes in 3 other Vitolas. It comes in the Robusto,
And a Toro.
a Toro, and a Corona Doble,
Oh, no, thank you.
which is a
No?
50 by 7, which is actually not as big.
Oh,
50 by 7.
imagine this thing in a Toro. Ooh.
The other one I'm interested in is the Robusto, which is 50 by 5, of course.
Mm.
I'm curious how that would
I think it'll
perform.
be a cooler smoke.
I can't imagine this in a Toro.
No,
No,
no
in a
way.
Toro I wouldn't touch this. No way.
no mas.
So, boys, another good story out of the cigar industry. This one's really interesting. My Father's Cigars and Tatuaje celebrate 20 years of partnership together with a duo release called La Union. Now, of course, it's important to note that Pete Johnson of Tatuaje has had the My Father family, namely Jose Pepin Garcia, rolling his cigars for him. So this is a celebration of their partnership that began in 2003. So they've released a really ornate box of 20 cigars, which I guess it has 4 blends, 2 by each cigar maker, and it's only available in one Vitola, which they're calling Prominente Especial, measuring 50 ring gauge by 7 1/4 inches long, and very interestingly, has a 109 head on it, which is a
Oh,
rounded,
cool. Yeah.
rounded head that
We like that. Yeah.
very famous in Cuban cigars. But pretty interesting that they're releasing a dual cigar like this, very much in line with the long-awaited Fuente Padron collaboration, which is arguably very similar in presentation, with 10 cigars from each in the box.
Curious if the price will be similar as well.
Oh, we know the price.
It'll be a combined price.
Meaning the
For the
price of
ones
the.
It's
yeah.
$60 a stick.
Excuse me.
Exactly.
This.
$60.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm not paying for any
No.
My Father or Tatuaje $60. I mean, that's just silly.
No way.
It is.
No way. So they're, like I said, they're calling it La Union, and it features a bunch of different type of cigars. Nicaraguan Corojo 99, which is shade grown, and a Garcia blended Ecuadorian Habano. For the other cigar, Johnson used Ecuadorian Sumatra, and Garcia used Connecticut broadleaf. So I guess it's 2 different types of blends available in this packaging, like you said, Senator, for $60 a cigar. One other note, the cigars blended by Johnson will have a closed foot, whereas Garcia's cigar will have a traditional open foot. So that's the plan there for La Union. And I guess we're going to see this presented at PCA 2024 when we go there in March.
Yes.
It also comes very cool with a cutter, with a special
Okay.
straight cutter. It's actually cut into the box presentation when you get the box.
Oh, well,
Cut
now I
into
understand the $60.
Nice.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
I'm-
So you
I'm
got to
s-
walk around with the box. Right?
Yeah, so we shall see how that goes. So speaking of PCA, boys, we are going to be at PCA 2024 this year in Las Vegas.
Very, very excited.
How cool is that? So it's our first time going to the trade show. So PCA is the Premium Cigar Association's trade show for manufacturers and retailers. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of smokers there as well, and it's going to be our first time there. So we'll see how it treats us.
We'll all be walking around with our lizard smoking jackets, matching.
Very coordinated.
I agree.
Lizards who want to meet up for a smoke should message our Instagram.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or email us.
Correct.
Yeah, shoot us an email. We'd love
Correct.
to meet up and see if we get something coordinated for lizards who are going to be at PCA.
We're going to take over the whole event. Come on.
Are we all going to be wearing face masks just to be anonymous?
Face mask and smoking jackets.
Like Slipknot did in their tours.
Yeah, speaking of Metallica.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, boys, I'm enjoying this cigar. I got to be honest.
Yeah, it's nice.
Where would you guys slot this in a rotation? Where would you put this?
Just when you wake up.
Not in the morning like this guy.
I don't know. That's the problem I have is I'm thinking about this cigar is where I would put this in my rotation.
I wouldn't. This is the Vitola I would have. The other two are just too. It just seems really intimidating.
It's an after dinner smoke.
It could be an after
Easy.
dinner or an end
Or
of sit,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
after a few cigars.
Last cigar.
Yeah, possibly.
After a Cuban cigar, you can follow it up with this.
No, I was just thinking about that because I really do like the Purpose Fritas and a couple of others from the Liga 9, from the Liga line. And this would fit in towards the end of the night.
If you're looking for a small cigar at the
Yeah.
end of the night that gives you that punch, this is it.
Yeah.
And it burns pretty fast, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a very slow smoking cigar.
Yeah, it's definitely fast. I mean, it's only 5 inches long. I feel like I'm well past the halfway point, and we're
Mhm.
not even at 40 minutes yet. So
Mhm.
it's definitely a fast cigar. And I don't even feel I feel like I've been talking a lot. I don't even feel like I'm pulling on it that
Yeah.
much,
That's true.
So the other newsworthy note that I wanted to mention, because we discussed this on a previous episode, is that Rocky Patel has decided to come out with a Year of the Dragon cigar. I think it's his first year of the release for the Chinese
You can
New
kill
Year.
my mic now.
So the reason why I bring this up is not necessarily because it's interesting.
To piss Rooster off.
It's a limited production, says Nish Patel, 6,000 boxes or so, about $35 per cigar, packed in a box of 10. The interesting thing, though, calling back to a previous episode where we discussed Gurkha suing Davidoff for their Year of the Dragon cigar, this is nearly identical in its packaging. So I feel like Gurkha is going to have another lawsuit on
Yeah,
its
I
hands.
hope Rocky has built the legal fees into the price of these cigars
I'm
because
sure he
there's definitely
has.
going to be a lawsuit.
Well, he was a lawyer, I think.
That's
prior
correct.
That's
to
true.
this.
Yeah, his legal fees are free.
Uh-huh.
But it's another one, and we've discussed this on the Gurkha Davidoff episode when we discussed that. Is like the idea that Gurkha thinks that they own this trademark, despite it being a Chinese New Year celebration. Now that I think I've seen 4 or 5 manufacturers, plus Habanos has a release out for the Year of the Dragon. I don't think there's as much red and gold on it as there is for this, but I just don't understand Gurkha's mentality thinking they own this. Like,
Good luck to Gurkha.
it's Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I'm sorry, I only think of Gurkha when I think of a dragon.
And premium cigars.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Fit for the garden.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm sure Gurkha's got their legal team racing to file suit against Rocky Patel like they did Davidoff.
You guys are smoking so fast.
I know. It's
40
going.
minutes in.
It's just so
My
easy to blow
God.
through this thing.
Who's smoking fast? I'm about the same as you.
What?
No, I mean,
No.
I'm sorry. Look at mine and look
That's
at
true.
Gizmo's. How is that the same?
Well, you have Ash on
Because you're
yours.
dimensionally off.
Because you got to strengthen that prescription. Jesus Christ.
I need better glasses. So, boys, we got a few emails from listeners about the bumper sticker call out that we did a few episodes ago, where one of our listeners was driving in Texas and saw a lounge lizard bumper sticker on a car. So we called it out on the episode, and we've gotten a bunch of listeners who emailed us now with photos of bumper stickers they've had on their cars or they put on their cars after that episode.
This is crazy.
It's a revolution.
It's awesome.
is it all in Texas?
It's everywhere now.
Really?
Unbelievable.
Listeners from everywhere are putting bumper stickers on their cars.
And we've had nothing to do with it.
Don't we have copyrights?
Wow.
We're gonna. We
Get-
hired the Gurkha people.
We don't.
He's a Desi brother too, by the way.
Oh,
As
Gurkha.
long,
Yeah.
as long as they're representing us well, we're happy to have
Correct.
lizards violate our.
And they're doing very well. It's just very impressive.
It's very cool. I mean,
It
we've gotten.
is.
I mean, we've probably gotten 25 or 30 emails of folks who have put bumper stickers on their cars who've made them or said, "Oh, I'm going to do this," or sent screenshots. Hey, do you guys want me to share the designs with you?
Wow.
Like, it's very, very cool, man.
So cool.
We've had a lot of folks doing that. So it's nice to see that. And of course, any listeners out there who want to create a bumper sticker and put it on their car, send us a picture.
I don't see many Metallica bumper stickers. Come on.
Lizard Nation is strong.
Correct.
Lizard Nation is very, very strong. I wanted to go to Pagoda here because the man who's been traveling unlike anyone I've ever seen. This guy has been traveling since Labor Day, I think.
Yes, he is the James Bond of the group.
He has been to, I think, 7 or 8 countries since Labor Day. Just got back again now from Costa Rica.
Tell us how retirement is, Pagoda.
I think Costa Rica is not a bad place to retire, by the way.
So you've been to where? Let's lay it out. You've been to Panama
Twice.
You've been to Havana, Cuba with us.
I'm sorry, it started with Cartagena.
Cartagena.
That's right.
Yes, Cartagena as well.
India.
Now Costa Rica, and soon to be the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
And then Vegas.
Don't forget Vegas.
Don't forget Cuba.
I
And
said
Cuba.
Havana. I said Havana. Yeah.
And he's going to Dominican Republic and
Right.
then Vegas.
And it's all wedding related, by the way,
Yeah, I'm
guys.
sure it is.
Oh, yeah.
Are you getting married?
No.
All right. So walk us through Costa Rica. What? Tell the listeners how. First, of course, how was the smoking experience? Was there any cigar related activity?
A lot of cigar related activity. There's no real cigar lounge where we didn't find any cigar lounge, but you could smoke outdoors. We were at bars smoking, and we were just very relaxed. But not every restaurant and not every bar allows you to smoke. But what we had done was went with a group of guys, and we had rented a really nice place with a pool. So a lot of our smoking predominantly was within the premises of the facility we were living in. But having said that, Costa Rica is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place to visit. It's got a lot. It's very hilly, very green. The rainforests on the mountains. It's beautiful drives right by the water. Once again, Central America. Right below Nicaragua. Very, very nice. There's a lot of outdoor activities. So if you're interested in any kind of adventurous outdoor activities, I think it's a great place to visit. We did a lot of ATVing and
You were on ATVs, really?
yeah. And I'll tell you, even though it had 4 wheels, it was so difficult to really control them. But we were, I think, riding or driving ATVs at night through these rainforests and these, designated paths. It was and going to waterfalls, chilling, relaxing, having a smoke, and then riding back. It was excellent. And then there's zip lining for the people who like it. A lot of hiking. There are a lot of cyclists, which I found. I think they're probably trading for Tour de France or something because it's very hilly. And but you see, it's a lot of very physical, outdoor, adventurous activities available there. Having said that, I was reasonably disappointed with the food.
Really?
Yeah, meaning I prefer the food in a lot of the other countries I visited.
The other 18 you've been to in the last 6
Yeah.
months?
A little pricey. The beer is not bad. I really enjoyed the beer. It's called Imperial, and they have I like a little lagerish kind of beers, and so there was a silver, which was fantastic. I didn't like the original as much, but yeah, an excellent trip. Very outdoorsy, a lot of physical activity, and then just chilling, hanging out at the pool and smoking.
So Pagoda, did you rent a boat for the day? And
Yeah.
how was that experience?
That experience was excellent. It is a beautiful, beautiful country. So, the water is very clear if you go a bit north in Costa Rica. It's beautiful,
Where exactly
green
were
mountains.
You? Where were you exactly?
We were between San Jose and Jaco Beach, somewhere in between there. It was excellent experience. You pass by some of these really wealthy areas where there are marinas, and you see some really fancy boats. There's a lot of water activity going on from banana boats, and the boat will dock in the middle of the water, and then a small boat will come with banana boats. So we were couples, and it was just a great, great experience. Yeah.
So I think I heard you say this when we were talking before we came on air. You were saying something about the ride from the airport to where you were. You said it was pretty long, right?
Yeah, about hour and a half. Yeah.
Hour and a half.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, It wasn't too bad. The roads are way better than Cuba for sure. So
Sure.
the only problem is they're like one lane, somewhat highways. If somebody's driving slow, you get backed up a bit. But having said that, not a bad experience at all.
So when you're at the airport, are you chartering a taxi? Are you calling Uber? Like, what are you doing to get 90 minutes from the airport to where you need to be?
So we had a huge Airbnb, and our house host arranged for everything.
Oh, nice.
We
Okay.
just asked him to arrange for
Nice.
everything.
So you did Airbnb and not a hotel.
Yeah, because we were a lot of us, and then we had a beautiful pool. Great facilities, and we had a couple of coordinators who were working with us.
Now, you said you
Yeah.
had a chef, right? In the house?
Yeah, we did have a private chef for.
And how was his or her food that they prepared for you?
It was good.
Yeah?
Nothing really. They were grilling a lot of food.
Okay.
Overall, not very. I don't know. I think the food quality. I think I prefer the food in different
Okay.
countries. Just
So
To be
let
fair.
me let me dial down into that. What is it about the food there that doesn't stack up to even the experience we have in Cuba?
so, I'll tell you the two best meals I had was one of them were in a regular bar where they had really excellent beef skewers, which was fantastic. The quesadillas were all right. A lot of their food revolves around rice, beans, either pork or chicken or thing. Very traditional.
Sounds great to me.
Hispanic.
That's everywhere in the Caribbean.
But
Yeah.
not very spicy, not very flavorful. A little
So the
blandish.
flavor's lacking.
Yeah,
Frank's
the
hot
flavors.
sauce
Yeah, so
does the trick.
they do. You know what's really the irony of it all is they do have. Everywhere you can ask for hot sauce, but you have to add in, and they have some really good hot sauce. I must say, a couple of my buddies did buy some hot sauce. I forgot the brand, but the coffee was great. Found a small little panaderia. I think it's like a small bakery kind of a
Bakery.
thing. and-
Panaderia.
Nice.
right? And really good cappuccinos and lattes, and it was that was really good. The bakeries were so. You would think for a country that had a lot of chocolate as well, because they have coffee, cocoa, chocolate. Didn't see a lot of chocolate baked goods, and I love
Oh,
chocolate
yeah.
baked goods.
Big dessert guy.
Big.
Huge.
So I think.
Did you hold up the entire table of 10 people for dessert? I'm asking for a friend.
I did try a few times, but the dessert was overall very disappointing. Although a buddy of mine tried some local pudding, which he said was really good.
Mm.
Oh, I heard about that pudding.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard Costa Rica has good pudding.
Pagoda's a big pudding guy.
No, it
He
wasn't
loves
me.
pudding.
It wasn't me.
It's the
So-
first time we've ever mentioned pudding on the podcast. By the way.
Correct. Yeah, and hopefully the last time. Now we.
I don't know. It wasn't me.
Now we know
It
you
wasn't me.
We know you brought your own cigars. What about spirits? Is there a local rum or something that they have locally that you tried?
Yeah, I did try a local rum. It was all right. I think I sent you guys a photograph of that.
Mm.
Don't remember.
Yeah, it was all right. Meaning, I'd just taken like 65, 70 cigars, and
Nice.
by the way, I nearly finished
That's
them all.
it?
And I shared a few, but
You finished
Yeah.
them all?
yeah,
In a
nearly.
week?
You brought
In a week.
70 cigars.
65,
That's-
70, yeah.
Wow.
It's easy.
He's a lizard.
But I did share a few.
Well,
but,
he,
you know.
he didn't want
was-
them. He didn't want them taken away by
Yeah, he
customs.
was
on his way
he
back.
was expecting to lose 25. So. How was it? Is there any tobacco grown in Costa Rica?
There is, right? Isn't Atabey
so.
from there? Yeah.
oh wow.
I think some components of Atabey are from Costa
From
Rica.
Costa
Interesting.
Rica, yeah.
And other cigars.
There's
I feel like
other
we've seen
cigars
that.
too, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just south of Nicaragua. So I think what could be in order next time is we go for a trip to Nicaragua for a day or two, and then just head down to Costa Rica.
Yeah, I'm not going to Nicaragua, but I will go to Costa Rica.
Well, it depends if you want to talk. Padron,
You want to see the new Padron farm?
That's true. 1,200 feet above sea level, sure.
So you said there's not really a cigar culture down there, like even you've experienced in Panama and some of the other
No.
Caribbean countries.
It didn't seem like it. No,
Really?
I didn't see a lot
Is there
of
an
people.
LCDH there?
I'm not sure about
That's
that.
a good question.
I've not heard of LCDH. there.
Maybe not where he was.
Let's put it this way: they didn't mind us smoking cigars.
Mhm.
So overall,
Were you able to smoke at restaurants and bars?
No, a lot of them. There were just a couple of places. I think wherever it was very outdoorsy and you could hang out, we were allowed to smoke.
Did you visit
But-
any beaches?
We were right by the beach, by the way, and we
Like
barely,
where your casa was?
yeah, but we barely stepped on it. I think I just went there one day. A buddy of mine went for a run, 6 mile run over there, and but having said that, did not really hang out at the beaches at all.
How was your experience? Like, how would you rate the countries between Cuba, Panama, Costa Rica,
India.
Colombia.
except India? India's number one.
India's number one.
Okay.
Well, depending on what you're seeking, but Cuba is definitely number one for me.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
Panama, and then Costa Rica.
So what is it, we obviously talk a lot about Cuba on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
So what is it about Cuba for all of its, issues that it has and its challenges? What is it about Cuba that elevates it even above a developed nation like
Passion for
Costa Rica?
cigars, right? Like you go and you feel like you're home.
Mhm.
You can go and smoke anywhere. You're chilling. You have access to, a lot of these Pagoda stores and all. You can try a lot of different cigars. And they're reasonably priced, right? A few dollars cheaper than what you'd get in the US. Great food, We've had some really good
Yeah.
experiences with cuisine in Cuba. Reasonably priced. The weather was definitely better in Cuba, but
Really?
it was, yeah.
Because I found in Cuba when we were there, we went in
We
January.
had some rain.
We had a few days of rain, and
But it was 80s, right?
That's true.
Costa Rica was 90s.
Oh,
mid-90s.
wow.
Wow.
And
even in
More-
January.
It's more south.
yeah, it's
Wow.
it was
Wow.
during the day it was pretty hot. So that's why the pool was great, just to chill, relax, or anything in the water. All right, like whether you're doing the boat rides. We went ATVing. We went later during the day. In the evening it was very pleasant. So the temperature would drop by the end of the day. Yeah, overall a great experience. You know what it is? It's like I think in Costa Rica you feel you're clothed in nature and you're one with nature because it's very hilly. A lot of rainforest, very green an island. Obviously the water's right there, there are beaches, and I think Cuba is slightly different from that perspective, but Cuba has its own charm. It's old country. It reminds me of India when I grew up. In a way, we went to certain areas where even the housing and the way they're structured very similar to that, and yeah, Cuba just feels a little bit more homey for me. Costa Rica is a bit outdoorsy from an adventurous.
Also much
Experience.
cheaper.
Mhm.
Yeah, much
visit.
bigger. Definitely.
I think housing and lodging
Yeah.
in Cuba is cheaper than anywhere
Anywhere.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
But
Can't
if anyone's interested in just any kind of outdoors activity, I would recommend Costa Rica right away. Meaning it's and wherever you go, they're kind of facilitated. They have a lot of organized tours. A lot of people go hiking on their own. And you see a lot of families around. It's a very comfortable place to visit. And just one more thing, what I realized was a lot of expats
Really? Like living there?
living there.
Mm.
Really?
A lot of people from the
Retirees.
US, from California, from Texas, from different parts have moved there, bought places over there, and just staying there. I think there's something to that effect where even the medical system is slightly better, and overall, it's a beautiful place. It's just one of the more beautiful countries in Central America, more beautiful than Panama, and in a way, Cuba. We haven't been to the beach area. We've been in Havana, but you go to Costa Rica and you say, "Oh wow, this is natural beauty." Yeah.
Nice.
I want to go to Costa Rica now.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
bring my own food, but I'm going to go.
It's not that bad.
Can I find a
I
McDonald's?
think we've also been
Can
spoiled.
I find a McDonald's there?
You do find a Subway. We did see a Subway there. for
Subway.
sure.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
Gizmo wants to drive an ATV while he's eating a salad.
Yes, I'll do it.
I'll tell you, the ATV experience was great. By the way, it's
Why?
firstly, I didn't expect much, and the tour was about 4 hours, and So they drive you. So this guy who owned his ATV company, we drove about a couple of hours in, and among the hills and mountains, he owned his own place, very similar to uh, you know uh,
Hector Luis.
Hector
farm.
Luis's area. Very similar. It was like an outdoor thing between hills and all green, beautiful views. And we were lighting up, smoking cigars there. Had a really good meal, and then had a few drinks, and then we got back on the ATVs, and then came back slightly in the dark through these really like pathways between the trees and the forests, and stopped by a waterfall, and lit up again, and it was just very relaxed and casual. The 4 hours went by pretty quick. It was an experience.
Did you smoke a cigar on an ATV?
Yes,
My man. Now we talking.
and so did a couple of buddies whom we all kind of know. But,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
I love it. The legal limit on the ATV is like a 0.4.
He was 4 times that.
So I just want to inform the listeners, did you put the ATV in reverse at any time, or was it only going forward?
Did you bump into anything?
Did you hit anything on the ATV?
How much of your damage, deposit did you get back?
It
On a
was
percentage basis is fine.
it was only going forward. It's really strange. I don't think those ATVs could reverse. They might have.
Pagoda
they
No,
can.
nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They must
can.
listen to the
They
podcast.
can.
They probably can.
There is a reverse.
Just your ATV couldn't go in reverse.
That was on purpose.
You know what? I think that my ATV did have like a pole-like structure right behind, so it was coming along with me everywhere I went.
You had the bumper car version.
Yep.
So, boys, we're into the last third here of the Blackened M81 in Corona. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've got about.
What do you have left there,
You have
Bab?
1/3 of 1/3.
Yeah, I've got about 5/8 of an inch, and I'm not getting any harsh edges on this at all. I'm really surprised at how smooth this is all the way down. I can't complain about the cigar at all.
Did we ever talk? What is the M81?
So Metallica was formed in 1981.
Okay, that's what that is.
Yeah. Yep.
Ride the lightning.
Ride the lightning, baby.
Yeah.
Pagoda, what do you think about the cigar? I know you've been talking a little bit, but
Yeah. No, it's good. I don't know whether I would really pursue it. Like I don't feel that it's really triggered something in me which says, "Oh wow, this is excellent."
I'm in the same boat as Pagoda.
There's value though in the price. There's, I'm sure, a category that fits a lot of guys and gals that want a fuller cigar that's smooth and very affordable, and this delivers that.
Yeah, on Atlantic, actually, I paid, I think, $153 for the box.
It's ridiculous.
Really?
$750 a stick.
That's insane.
So for that price, I
It's
mean,
a good value.
Yeah,
what do you think of it, Rooster?
I like it. I mean, it kind of fits my flavor profile. I mean, I like the bold cigars. So especially, after a meal or even with a cup of coffee, like in the afternoon and stuff, I'm good.
You know what it is? It's kind of like a large petite Cazadores to me. So,
From Tatawahe?
yeah, a little bigger version of that.
I think it's a little bit spicier.
Yeah,
a little
maybe.
bit
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
black peppery than
Mhm.
the Cazadores. Cazadores,
I didn't get a lot of pepper in this for me. A little bit.
there is black pepper. It kind of builds up. You don't get it in the first third. And I think after the halfway point, it really picks up.
Am I going to get it in the eighth of an inch that's left here?
Yeah, if you did. I don't know if you eat the whole thing.
I mean, you got to be getting notes of metal right now. I
Well,
can't believe this.
well,
He's
this-
got like a roach clip in
It
there.
is metallic.
It's true.
Metallic. M81.
That's right.
Notes of metal. Heavy metal.
Blackened.
Do you think when we play another song, the vibrations are going to enhance the flavor?
It very well could. It might extend it too.
It might.
Yeah, if we play another tune. Yeah. So I got a question. So Pagoda was talking about bringing cigars, and we all brought cigars to Havana. Pagoda has obviously brought 3,000 cigars to the various places he's visited over the last 6 months.
We did the same in Panama.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So my question for you guys is, when you're planning now, even when we go to Havana, we bring our own cigars, right? No, we don't come home with that much. Obviously, given the customs experience that we detailed, I think it was last week
Mhm.
on our first Havana recap episode, I certainly don't bring I don't bring anything home. I come to, wherever I travel to with all the cigars I'm going to smoke. So I'm wondering for you, Pagoda, and all of the guys here, when you're traveling to the Caribbean, what is the ratio, I guess, of Cuban versus non-Cuban that you're bringing with you?
Good question.
And what is the kind of layout of the rotation you're planning for any given day when you travel to a Caribbean nation? If it's Panama, if it's Costa Rica, if it's Cuba, like wherever it is, what are you guys thinking now, having traveled as much as we have to various Caribbean nations?
I think for this trip in Costa Rica, it was 50-50. So I did take a lot of, some of the unbanded Cubans. Took a lot of D4s. It was also a lot of celebrations. So just wanted to make sure I took some of the cigars I really enjoyed. And then the rest were New Worlds, which included anywhere from the Padron 50th anniversary, the 80th. And, exclusivos, my Dominicanas, which I love. And I also took a few of the aging room, the Sonatas, which
There
I
you go.
handed out. And but overall,
Is that
50-50
the yellow?
with the
Is that the yellow band?
Yeah, the yellow band.
We
yeah.
have to review that.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
do that on the pod. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So 50-50 with and by the way, I do have to tell you that my buddy was checking the bag in for me because he got a free, checked in bag. It's like kind of really weird. But got stopped. They opened my bag up
Again?
and
You?
they found
No.
Oh boy.
they found the cigars and they talked a little bit about the cigars,
This
the
is
cutters
2 for
and the
2, by the
lighters.
way.
And
When you're an easy target.
but you know what it is that in the lighters, all my a lot of my the fuel was the butane was consumed, so they let go and they didn't take any lighters. But yeah, it was stopped again.
Just the cigars.
Yeah, but having said that, you're allowed to bring, if you're able to purchase Cubans. By the way, on the streets there were people selling cohibas, the fake cohibas. So
Are you sure they're fake?
So, but you are allowed to bring back Cubans from other parts of the world, except from Cuba, for personal consumption. Just FYI.
So what do you guys do when you're traveling now to Cuba? So Senator, you went to Panama and to Havana in recent weeks. What was your kind of planning?
I think for me, usually when I'm traveling, it's about 50-50. But when I go to Cuba, it's more like 60-30, leaning more Cuban than
That
60-40.
doesn't add up.
60-40.
Sorry, 60-40. Jesus.
You know what? I like that.
No,
Hey, Bam, I just wrote that down.
You know what? Check. Memo.
no, like Hector.
Not a math guy. Not a math guy.
This is what bourbon does.
Correct.
like Hector Louis at 10%.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I just think when you're in Havana, there's a romantic element about smoking a Cuban cigar
Absolutely.
in Cuba. So of course, for me, I definitely skew more Cuban there. But everywhere else, you can never predict the conditions, right? If it's super humid, sometimes that can be problematic for how a Cuban with a thin wrapper is going to perform. You're guaranteed every time with most New Worlds that whether it's windy, whether it's too humid, whatever the case is, you're going to be able to smoke that and enjoy it. So that's why it's normally 50-50, but Cuba is definitely the exception.
Yeah.
I tend to go 70-30, 70 Cuban, wherever I go. I just prefer that when I'm away. And I don't put the Bovita packs in, especially if I'm going to a warmer climate. No Bovitas for me, just right in the box, 70% Cuban.
Yeah, I didn't have any Bovita packs, and all my
Yeah.
cigars smoked really well.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the Cubans?
Even the Cubans smoked
Really?
really well. Yeah.
Hmm.
In the morning I would wake up and have one of those unbanded cigars with coffee, and it was a great way to start the day. Smoked really well.
Some of us are less finicky about the RH.
Correct.
I am very finicky about RH, by the way.
Even during travel.
Oh yeah. So
I'm sorry. I'm with Gizmo on this with travel in particular. I really do think, especially when you're traveling to some of the either any Caribbean country when it's hot in the midst of summer or just a hotter country. I mean, Costa Rica, you said it was 90, right? In
That's hot.
January. I have experience. I've done that before. The humidity can be so high, like your Cubans, especially if you're there for a while, it can really start to absorb a
It
lot of that
will absorb,
humidity.
yep.
And I think
yeah.
it really messes up the smoking experience. So I am a proponent of bringing a Bovita that can keep that down so it doesn't get too high.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to carry them in the 5-finger bags. I think that kind of
You like that? Yeah.
protects the cigars. And if you want, you can throw in a 62 or 65 Boveda, and that kind of keeps them good.
Lower.
I used to go.
I go 58.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 58
Yeah.
now too.
Yeah.
I agree.
Uh,
I go 58 on everything, by the way.
I used to carry more Cubans and less of the New World. But the way the Cuban prices are, like I hate to kind of
no.
replace them
This is
now.
true.
And so I carry it's more like 60 New World and 40 Cuban now.
Wow.
Except when you go to Cuba. When you go to Cuba, you
Yeah.
wanna smoke more Cubans.
Agreed.
But also they're accessible there. And it's hit or miss, but you can kind of find some of the Cubans, some of the staples you can find. Like we
Yep.
were able to find D4s. We were even able to find some punch double Coronas.
Mhm.
Ras.
And honestly,
Monte
the unbanded
Cristos.
cigars that we have had access
Yeah,
to recently,
those
that's
are-
kind of changed the game for, I think, a lot of
Sure.
us. For me, for sure.
If you can find Cuban cigars that don't have bands on them that you appreciate, there's a real value.
Oh,
in that.
yeah.
To
yeah.
have something that's $10, $12, $20, whatever it is,
And delicious.
comparable to a $100 Cuban cigar,
Yep.
it changes your wanting to reach for them. It does for me,
Me too.
but to all of your points, I mean, when I go to Cuba, I'm definitely packing more Cuban cigars because, and only because, I know that indoors I can smoke more Cuban cigars, which is where primarily we're smoking, aside from when we're smoking on the rooftop early morning or late evening. We're often inside in a shop, in a lounge where we're able to smoke Cuban cigars. So I'm reaching for Cubans. But outside of Cuba, it's probably 50-50 for me. But, to Senator's point, I'm constantly going with a 58 Boveda to reduce humidity in every aspect of my cigar situation. Cuban and New World. I'm trying to prevent anything from happening with the humidity from going up.
That's good advice.
And the only other reason for me, particularly when I go to Cuba, that I prefer to bring more Cuban cigars, you're able to smoke more cigars in Cuba than arguably anywhere that
Absolutely.
you would go on vacation. And so the fact that the overwhelming majority of Cuban cigars are like medium, if I'm going to have 8 cigars in a day, most of my New Worlds are for a more robust, full flavor profile, right? I'm not smoking 5 New Worlds a day. I'm smoking maybe, 3 and the rest are Cuban.
And primarily in the evening, you're doing those.
Exactly.
Right?
So
Yeah.
when I'm in Cuba, knowing that I'm going to be able to smoke so much, I like having a lot of medium sticks and then those few, closers to be full-bodied New World cigars, where when I'm in other places that I'm going to smoke half of what I do in Cuba, that's where I'm going to be smoking just as many New Worlds as I am Cubans.
All right, boys, it's time to move into our ratings tonight. Are you guys ready to do the formal liquor rating on the blackened straight American whiskey?
Yeah.
Bam Bam, you're up.
So I was between an 8 and a 9 on this. I didn't put a single chip of ice in my drink, and it really drank beautifully. It was delicious. No complaints at all. Will I go for this bottle? Maybe occasionally. So I'm going to give it an 8. Overall, the experience was very nice. 8.
Okay, Pagoda.
I think I'm at an 8 too. I think my experience with a couple of chips of ice was slightly better and smaller sips.
Always a good idea.
but I do think that this drink with this particular cigar really helped me a lot, because I felt that after the cigar I really did need something to follow up with a drink, and it provided a really nice combination. So I think the pairing really worked well in its own right. But it's an 8 for me.
Senator.
This is surprising, but I'm actually going to be slightly higher than both these guys.
I'm
I'm
not
going to
surprised.
round up to a 9.
I'm not surprised.
And the reason for that, again, not being a huge bourbon person, the fact that I think this is where I do agree with Pagoda. This really helped the cigar for me. And I thought it had just the right amount of sweetness, not overly sweet. Like there are plenty of bourbons that are too sweet for my palate. This was balanced enough, and I think, Giz mentioned like a cherry note that was in this, in the bourbon that I think was unique. I don't know of a single other bourbon I've ever really gotten a cherry or really that many fruit notes. That's just like not normally what you get.
And we did get a slight cherry note in the cigar, very slight.
Right.
Faint.
You think maybe it's the brandy cask finish?
Likely.
be.
Could be. It very well could be.
be.
I mean, brandy, right? That's all from fruit. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely possible that that's the case. And I do think that like the finishing in that brandy cask for a 90 proof bourbon, I found it to be, pretty smooth
Mhm.
and very drinkable. And I think the price point at $40 is,
That's
more than fair.
It's ridiculous.
So for all those reasons, I'm going to round up. I think this is, one of the few or rare kind of celebrity spirits that I actually think does a pretty nice job.
Yeah.
So I agree with Senator. I've been at a 9 since we started. I anticipated coming in, looking at this bottle with the Metallica logos all over it. I thought I was going to be at a 6 or 7.
Yeah. It looked
Honestly,
it looked like a gimmick.
it
Yeah.
looks like a gimmick.
Yep.
It still does, even after drinking it. But I was really intrigued by the complexity of it. I was intrigued by that cherry note, and I'm not a guy who likes cherry. I don't. I don't reach for cherry in my spirits.
Mhm.
Like I don't like that.
There's a very nice dryness to this,
But
though.
it's
as well.
really really nice. And honestly, for me tonight, it was the star of the show. Like it really performed well. I think $40 a bottle is very very reasonable. I think the fact that the 4 of us had this whiskey tonight, and it I think satisfied everyone.
Absolutely.
And
Totally.
help the cigar.
And
Yes,
help
it
the
did.
cigar. And that's a good point. Help the cigar. So I'm very, very comfortable at a 9. So the formal liquor rating, boys, is an 8.5,
Very nice.
which I think is very reasonable for a whiskey that's only been out a few years.
Yeah.
And like Senator said, is a celebrity-driven whiskey, which I think if we rated some of the other celebrity-driven spirits out there, I don't think they get an 8.5. So I guess we'll see at some point. You want to do the Kendall Jenner tequila at some point?
Jesus.
No.
Are you guys ready to do the formal lizard rating on the M81 from Drew Estate, the Blackened in Corona? Rooster, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the project, the culmination of the project with Robert Dietrich,
Rob Dietrich, yeah.
Rob Dietrich, Jonathan Drew, and James Hatfield, it kind of works.
Yeah.
I think they have delivered. It's a cigar that's under $10. It delivers. It's a smooth cigar. It's a bold cigar. I don't think it's for a novice smoker. It's for a seasoned smoker who likes that bold flavor profile
At an affordable price.
at affordable price. It has black pepper. It has leather. It has. It is lacking that sweet note. Maybe somehow if that could be tweaked in the blend, I think it would score a little bit higher for me. So having said that, I am at an 8.
Okay. Senator. He's thinking. He's debating.
Dun, 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 dun,
You
dun,
can
Here, I'll play some
dun,
Metallica,
dun.
Bam.
You can always change your score. It's
I
no
thought
big
he was going to
deal.
be at a 9. So that's what's kind of throwing me for a loop.
Yeah.
This is while Senator's thinking.
All right. I have my rating.
All right, here we go.
I'm at a 7.
Ooh, wow.
Brutal.
Wow.
Oof.
And
Let's hear this.
again, Rooster threw me for a loop because I really thought he was going to be at a 9, and I was debating between a 7 and an 8, but I'm definitely going to have to round down to a 7. And the reason is, number one, I would not pursue this cigar again. So I think most cigars I would rate an 8 or higher. I might in some form or fashion, pursue and want to smoke again. There are merits to the cigar, right? I agree with Rooster. It's smooth for how bold the flavor profile is that they've tried to deliver. I just, it goes back to when we first lit the cigar. I was expecting like really robust, distinct flavor notes that I was going to get out of the cigar. And I feel like everybody, when we started, we were getting a bunch of kind of faint notes, but just delivered in a bold way. And I just wanted those to be more pronounced. And the lack of a defined sweet note throughout it at this bold a flavor profile for me just didn't meet what I would be looking for in a cigar like this. So I think the blend is not quite my speed. And I struggle to think of where I would slot this in. I think, Gizmo had asked at one point, like, where would you smoke this? I mean, with the exception of Brewster, I don't think any of us, the rest of us, would smoke this in the morning.
No.
I wouldn't smoke it in the afternoon. And the problem for me is in the evening, I'd pick up a Padron any day of the week over this. So I can't see anywhere that I would really regularly slot this in. So for that, I'm a 7. And that again means that if I had no other cigars available to me and someone handed me one, sure, I'd smoke it. But am I going to go out and pursue this cigar? I just wouldn't. So
If he were
I'm
in
at a firm
prison,
7.
he'd have to have it.
So let me ask you a question. So you said I threw you in a loop. If had I scored it a 9, you would have given it an 8.
No, I'd still be having the same debate. I just was shocked to hear how much I thought you liked the cigar, and then you only gave it an 8. I was just surprised by that.
8's a good score.
Yeah.
It is, but you sounded like you liked it a lot more than that. That's all.
Connoisseur Corner, a lot of influence here on Senator tonight.
Correct.
I was just
You
surprised.
hear that, Bam?
That's all.
So for me, boys, it's an 8. I've been at an 8 since we started.
Yeah.
I wish there was a little bit more complexity to the blend. I thought it paired very well with the whiskey, so that helped it. I don't know, like Senator, if I'm going to reach for this or go purchase a box of these. However, if it ended up in my face or I'm in a lounge and I had to choose a cigar, certainly for the experience it gave me tonight, it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the important thing to note too is it's under $10.
Yeah.
It's a $9 cigar. And I think that is a merit to it. So I'm into it. 8 is a fair score, and I'm an 8 all day.
Mhm.
Pagoda.
I scored an 8. I was very excited by the flavor profile walking into the cigar. The way it looked, and after listening to the fact that it's all Maduro driven, that's typically within my flavor profile. I really like the size. The combustion was good. Overall, I kind of agree with Senator in a way where I thought the flavor profile for me was very muted. I was looking for something a little more robust.
I think that's a good word for it. Muted.
You were
And-
looking for a more robust cigar.
Robust, I mean,
In
to say
flavor, not in strength.
in flavor,
Yeah.
not in strength. So and because I've had the Ligas, I was thinking about where I'd slot it in, and even towards the end of the 9, if somebody put a Papas Fritas in this, I think I might just take the Papas Fritas.
Of course.
over
Me
this.
too.
Of course.
And
of course.
so- So considering all that, I think 8's a really good score. I also think that the drink kind of enhanced the cigar in a way. And there was something, and I don't know whether I've used it before. It felt the cigar when I was puffing without the drink felt a bit dry, and I'm not sure what drives that, but that was something I was
I think Senator
experiencing.
said that too.
Yes,
Finish-
there's
finish
just
it. Dry
not
smoke.
a defined sweet note in it. There's not fruit. There's not anything that you would deem sweet. There's not milk chocolate that at least would have some sweetness. And so for me, the blend was so skewed toward espresso and like these drier, full notes that I just wanted more balance so that I'm not feeling what Pagoda's describing.
I think it's more, what I got out of this was more leather, earth, and
Yeah.
dark espresso.
Yeah. Look,
spice.
That's it.
So those
you know.
things I got in a very nice, smooth delivery, and the smoke was velvety. I'm gonna go right into my rating. So on the retrohale is where I captured that faint sweetness at the finish of the retrohale, and there was a slight cherry there. If you're not retrohaling, there's something that you could miss in a lot of cigars. I highly recommend it if you can do it. I'm at an 8 because of the combination of those things. Is it a sophisticated cigar? No. But I'm just rating it for what it is tonight and how it performed. It's beautifully made. That structure on the ash was very impressive. And the combustion was actually quite nice.
And the price point was really good.
Of course. So I'm going 8.
So the formal Lizard rating, boys, is a 7.8.
It's fair for
It's
that.
fair.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
Sad but true.
7.8, boys.
Well, you're away. Pain while you say. Oh, it's sad but true.
Sad but true, boys. A 7.8 tonight. Unfortunately, like I said, the whiskey.
Look, that's a mild recommend.
The
It's a
whiskey
mild
was the star
recommend.
of the show
Yes,
tonight.
it was.
That's
The
the thing.
cigar was not there.
It's true.
My
It's true.
last comment will be: had we not had this whiskey with this would have been a frustrating experience for me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, so let's go through some of the other Drew Estate cigars we've smoked on the podcast. On episode 10, we did the Liga Privada number 9, which was an 8.4. On episode 57, we did the Drew Estate Undercrown Maduro, which is 7.6. On episode 77, we did the Drew Estate Herrera Estelí Norteño Lonsdale, scored very well, an 8.9. On episode 102, we did the Liga Privada Unico Papas Fritas, which Pagoda mentioned, was an 8.2, which
Delicious little
was
cigar.
4 points better than this. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, tonight it didn't break 80, but 7.8, boys, it is what it is.
Yeah, mild recommend.
A mild recommend for sure. All right, so a great night, guys. On the Blackened whiskey, we had a formal liquor rating of an 8.5. On the Blackened M81 in Corona, we had a 7.8. It is what it is. Sad but true.
Good night overall.
It was a good night overall,
Yeah.
boys. Great conversation, great pairing, and we'll see everybody next week. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining us. You can find our merch store and ratings archive at our brand new website, loungelizardspod.com. That's loungelizardspod.com. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, hello@loungelizardspod.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.